What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back doing another preview video for Ireland versus New Zealand. This is, of course, where we chuck on a game of Rugby 20 in the background so you guys have something fun to enjoy while we talk about the official teams announced by both teams, who we think is going to do well, who we think is going to do badly, and finally give a score prediction for what is promising to be one of the biggest games of this autumn international. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So let's get this game kicked off and underway. Alrighty, Johnny Sexton's going to get us kicked off. There's like no wind, so we'll go for a bit of a bomb here. We'll see how we get on. Right, that's going to be weird. I don't normally get to play such a high-rated team in this game, so that's going to be fun. So, talking about Ireland versus New Zealand. This is probably going to be the highlight of the weekend, if not the autumn internationals. A couple of people are already talking about maybe the France-New Zealand game will be a bigger game than this, but I think this is going to be such a tight game. I can't wait for this one to be on this weekend. Let's start off talking about Ireland, seeing as we're playing as Ireland. Ireland last week having a pretty easy game against Japan. I don't think anyone quite expected that game to just sort of go the way it did. What was it? Something like 60 points to 5 or something in the end. They really just sort of ran over Japan. Really not interlocking together Japan. And to be honest, I think Ireland will be a little bit annoyed it stopped there. There were certainly more points to offer. There was certainly the ability to spread wide to James Lowe a couple more times. There was a couple of times that forwards knocking on the ball, not managing to finish off scoring some tries. There could have been more. This Ireland team was back when we started doing the Six Nations videos. I actually called that maybe this Ireland team could have actually gone on to win the Six Nations, and it just didn't pan out that way for them. But this Ireland team is really building into something special if they can get the wins in these big games. So Ireland versus New Zealand, they've had to really put their minds together now and work out some big teams. So let's check out the team they're going to be putting on to play New Zealand. So starting off in this front row, Andrew Porter, Kelleher and Furlong. This is maybe not necessarily their first choice. Maybe Cian Healy would technically be a priority choice over Andrew Porter, but the ability for Porter to switch between tight head and loose head is an incredible ability, and he plays good rugby in either position. So he's really working hard in that front row, and the Ireland scrum looking pretty okay for the meantime. Looking back towards the locks, Ian Henderson and James Ryan. So this was a combo we saw in that Six Nations. We saw work so well in that line-out situation. The line-out situation for Ireland is probably one of the best in the world when they get all their stuff together. They've got so many good high-end jumpers that can play. And in terms of line-out rate, jackal rate, turnover rates, they were topping the boards in that Six Nations. And James Ryan and Ian Henderson were among the top flyers. So very strong lock department there for them. In the back row, Keelan Doris, Josh van der Fleer and Jack Conan. Again, another solid three going in there. All three playing well. Keelan Doris also more than happy to get into the air when you need to in that flanker position. Josh van der Fleer and Jack Conan both very happy to run with ball. We've talked before about how Conan likes to spread to the wing as well, similar to like a Faletau fashion. Very happy to play as a loose 8 that's willing to go onto the wing as well. Very fast man when he gets going. As a 1-8, this is very good. This is a world-class Ireland team now beginning to generate some momentum and experience together, caps together, working together, interlocking pretty well. This is a very good 1-8, which it needs to be. We know how good that New Zealand team can be once they get everything where they want to, not like last week. But the normal New Zealand team, they'll know the pressure will be on in those scrum times, and it's time for Ireland to try and show what they can bring. In terms of the halfback partnership then, Gibson Park and Sexton. Again, a couple of people probably surprised here not to see Conor Murray in. I think Gibson Park's playing good rugby at the minute. A couple of times maybe a little bit selfish in terms of trying to work out if he can run with the ball or not. I would like to see that speed pick up a little bit and just getting out from the back of the ruck. We know how good Ireland are at clearing out the ruck in terms of the breakdown. Gibson Park could speed that up a little bit, but otherwise doing very well, especially in terms of the box kicks and so on. And Johnny Sexton, that captaincy again, now over the Centurion mark, playing as good a rugby as we've ever seen. In the centre partnership then, Bundy Aki and Gary Ringrose, their go-to centre partnership at this point. There's not really a lot more we can say about these two, but I feel like I have this conversation every week about Aki and Ringrose. It's the two they love. Aki bringing the straight line power runs, and Ringrose bringing the outside much more technical ability as well as distribution. And finally the back three, we've got James Lowe, Andrew Conway and Hugo Keenan. This seems to be the three they're leaning towards now. I'm not sure if anything happened to Keith Earls to be dropped from the starting 15. He doesn't seem to start a lot of games anymore. Andrew Conway, nice to see him moving back in now. Andrew Conway, haven't seen him for a little while, but getting that right wing shirt seems to be going to him an awful lot, even though Keenan more than capable of playing on that wing too. But as a back partnership as well, I mean, all these lads know each other inside out now. They've played a lot of games together. Going to be exciting to see James Lowe play. A lot of people have talked about, James Lowe, sort of New Zealand born, moving away from New Zealand. I think he even played for New Zealand in like the under-18s or the under-20s or something. Moved over to Ireland, coming to Ireland now. He's going to be going back up against New Zealand for the first time. Going to be a lot of fun to see him go in there as well. But as a 1-15, very, very strong. This is the team we want to see Ireland put out. We didn't want to see them testing out, new debutants or anything in this first 15. New Zealand are looking strong at this point. They're coming away with win after win after win. It's time for you to put on a big team, and I think this has got a lot of potential for this team to hold up. As we move sort of towards the halftime mark, now let's quickly talk about the subs that Ireland are going to be bringing on. So, in this front row, Rob Herring, Cian Healy, as I mentioned before, and Finlay Bealham. So again, good replacement three here. Rob Herring and Kelleher are really sort of fighting it out now for that top spot of hooker. Both lineouts working really well, but also both in the back of those mauls. We know Ireland like their driving mauls as much as any team probably in World Rugby. And when it gets underway, I mean, we've seen it before in Ireland-New Zealand games. The mauling and the forward pack fight-outs there are going to be is going to be so much fun to watch. So I'm going to be looking forward to see them come on at some point in the second half. And then the replacement forwards as well. Tyg Byrne and Peter O'Mahony. Peter O'Mahony, not necessarily the greatest game against Japan. I would have liked to see him played a little bit better. But Tyg Byrne was, I think, my player of the Six Nations. I think he had a superb Six Nations. Can play 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, whatever you want to put him. He's just so good. You really just play every position. He will come on in that second half. I don't even know who for, because I think Ian Henderson and James Ryan are playing really good rugby. I think we might even see Tyg Byrne come on for Keelan Doris at some point in that second half, just to add in that third extra jumper that you can then have in the line-out. We got to see, if anyone watched the Ireland-Scotland breakdown that I did, we got to see how Henderson, Ryan and Byrne all together make a formidable line-out setup, and just how powerful they can be when they all work together. So I think that's a really, really good move. And then the replacement backs as well. Conor Murray, Joey Carberry and Keith Earl. So again, it's going to be more... I would say there's an experience going on here. I think Conor Murray's probably more experienced than Gibson Park, even though he's playing good rugby at the minute. Keith Earl's probably got more experience than either Andrew Conway or James Lowe. But it's those, that's what you want. I mean, they call them subs in Ireland, but I think they're more in line with sort of the finishers. That's what you want to be seeing. Joey Carberry, it might be a later sub. Ireland aren't one of these teams that sort of put players on at set times. They tend to be a little bit reactionary. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Joey Carberry come on, but it might be a little bit later if the game hasn't quite gone the way and they just want to keep Johnny Sexton on for that captaincy. Normally we see Johnny Sexton come off the same time Conor Murray comes on, and Conor Murray will sort of take over as the backs captain, if you like to talk about it that way. But overall, 1-23, this is a big team. I'm getting excited already. It's still a couple of days before this game's even going to happen. I am excited to see how this game goes, because I think this is going to be an absolute clash of titans. We're moving into the second half now. We'll just start off the second half. So let's talk about the team they're going to be going up against. New Zealand. New Zealand came away, with their Southern Hemisphere Championship win. They're beating teams by 100 points and stuff. They're in really good form at the minute. They went on to play Wales. I did go and see that game live. I did a whole vlog about that game. They looked to be very dominant in that game. It wasn't the full-strength Wales team. Unfortunately, you can't make any excuses for people running on the pitch, bar Jarvo, who sort of makes his way on now and again. But they've played really well. The game they had last week, it could have been better. They could have been better versus Italy. They changed very much. They had a lot of awareness that they were going to be playing this game this week. I think they took the team down a little bit of a notch to play Italy, but we certainly saw those changes make a big impact. I think there was something like 11 changes or something to the team. So we've definitely seen that impact of having all the newer players and some lesser cap players trying to work well. It was a bit of a shame to see Braden Ennor not playing, top flight rugby. I really like him. I think he's a very good player. I just don't think people give him the right space or the right room to work with. But they all know that this game was coming up, so it was worth putting it on. They will have seen all the cracks they had against that Italy team and will be working on it. The handling errors especially will be something they want to manage. You can't afford to give Ireland penalties. People like Johnny Sexton. Conor Murray can also take kicks, and also Joey Carberry coming on. There's no point giving these lads penalties. They will take them. So they'll be wanting to work in that breakdown situation. They know how good Ireland are in that breakdown situation as well. So let's check out the team that New Zealand are bringing in for this game, starting off in this front row. Joe Moody, Taylor and Lau Lala. This is a good front row again. There's a lot of weight to this. Cody Taylor we've seen having plenty of nice little runs with the ball in hand, especially from little splits off from the back of the mauls and stuff. So no doubt it'll probably be the same. I think this game could be a real battle of the forwards for a good majority of this game. Both teams will want to prove they can outmuscle each other. We've seen in the past some of the great games Ireland and New Zealand have had, and so much of it comes from the forwards. In the lock department, Brodie Retallick back from what looked like quite a nasty little shoulder injury that I saw during the New Zealand-Wales game. Sam Whitelock is going to be in there as captain as well. Are these arguably the best two locks in New Zealand? Any New Zealand subscribers can drop down. I would say probably so. Brodie Retallick, I really like the rugby he plays, especially with running in hand. Very, very good for a lock. And Sam Whitelock is just an aggressive player, but he really commands that team well. Being captain now, captain the Crusaders as well, and playing really good rugby. Onto the back three then, Blackadder, Papa Lee, and not Julian Sarvea, Ardy Sarvea. I got the wrong Sarvea. But a back three that's, had more experience now. Blackadder's playing good rugby. Papa Lee, a lot of people I think underrate him a little bit. I think Papa Lee's very, very good, especially in that 7 shirt. Got some big shoes to fill with some of the people that have retired from that 7 shirt, but I think he's playing really good rugby. And Sarvea, who's coming into his own now. He's playing really good rugby. Very, very impressive. As a 1-8, as strong as the Ireland team, I would absolutely say. I can't wait to see some of the clashes going to happen in those scrums. I really hope the scrums work out and don't just collapse all the time, because this will be some beefy scrums going on in this game. Looking towards the backs, it's all top tier to be fair. Let's start off with the halfback partnership. TJ Piranara and Beauden Barrett in that fly half shirt. Richie Mo'unga's playing good rugby at the minute, but Beauden Barrett, we saw in that Wales game, is just doing things that only Beauden Barrett does. So no real surprise that Beauden Barrett started in this game, and especially with TJ Piranara outside, we've seen the link-ups they have. They're very, very good together. In the centre partnership, Anton Linnett-Brown and Rico Ioane moving from that winger to centre channel. He's really been able to improve that ability to switch between either position now. He's really come into his own after losing his winger position. So nice to see him in there as well. And Anton Linnett-Brown will bring a bit of a steady hand in that centre partnership. No messing around. No sort of Havili's going to be running all over the place. You know what Anton Linnett-Brown brings, and hopefully he'll bring it well. And finally, the back three. Seville Reese moving to the left wing this time. Will Jordan, a brilliant player. I've always said it. I think he's fantastic on that right wing. And finally, Geordie Barrett. A very strong back line here. Again, any of these lads get exploding away, you're going to have a real trouble, as well as penalties. Too many people to kick penalties here. Both teams' discipline is going to be a real big point of this game. And finally, as we're moving towards the end of this game, we'll check out the replacements. We've got Dane Coles. I'm going to always pronounce this guy's name wrong. Carl Tuwinga Koafi. I'm awfully sorry. Tyrrell Lomax will be going on that second half. Tupo Vai, who's a big boy, and Akira Ioane to join in with the Ioane partnership there. And then in the backs replacements, Finlay Christie, Richie Mo'unga and David Havili, just to bring on that little bit of wild card that we like to see from him in that second half. A very, very strong team. Who's going to make the call for this game then in terms of a score prediction? I think this could be a classic in the making. These are two massive, massive teams. I'm going to lean towards New Zealand. I don't think it's going to be by a lot. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people are probably going to call out here. I'm going to say New Zealand to win. And I'm going to say by 4. That's going to be my call. I think it's going to be around that close. It could go either way. This is going to be such an exciting game. I'm really interested to see what you guys think. Make sure you drop down in the comments who you think is going to win this game, and well, what you think the points difference is going to be in this game, because I'm really looking forward to see what other people say. Of course, we are also running the Super Brew app on the channel as well, for anyone who wants to drop in on that and put your predictions down on that. It's a lot of fun to join in with, but I'm really looking forward to this game, guys, so make sure you drop down in the comments what your thoughts on this game are going to be. Of course, we are doing these videos for every single game of the Autumn International, so make sure you subscribe to the channel just to keep up to date with all the videos as they come out. And if you've enjoyed this one today, make sure to drop it a like. It really helps the channel out, and I'm very appreciative of the people that do. But I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.